Good morning, everybody. This is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Quick update on the severe weather potential today. We still have the cold front back here over Tennessee into the Ohio Valley, moving to the east very quickly. A little piece of energy down here is rotating up this way. There's another big piece of energy up here that's rotating in. It's going to be a big severe weather day across areas of the mid-Atlantic into the northeast. And you can see right now on the visible satellite image, let me take the radar off quickly. You can see these storms that are blowing up in eastern North Carolina. Look at the shadow they are casting. These are very tall storms. We didn't get these yesterday, and there was a lot of shear east of us in parts of central and eastern North Carolina. This is that STP, or significant tornado parameter. If you look in eastern North Carolina, it's about a 1 or 2, which is pretty high for this time of the morning, and it's definitely high enough to get tornadoes to develop, and that's likely going to be the risk here. We just see a new tornado, or excuse me, severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for these cells west of Raleigh. I'm going to show you the radar on these storms because all of these are storms I'm watching carefully, and if you look carefully at that warning that just came out near Staley, there actually is some weak rotation in this storm. There's actually weak rotation in all of these storms, but they're in the mid and upper levels of the storm. There's one storm north of Norman I've been watching. Thankfully, it's moving north and east pretty quickly, and it looks like most of the rotations have been off the surface, but it's not going to take much for these to become surface-based. And what I mean by that is this rotation is in the mid and upper levels now. As the storms get deeper, this rotation could work its way down to the surface later this afternoon. So the potential is there for severe weather, especially along I-77 and east. And notice we still have significant tornado parameters elevated across areas of South Carolina into Georgia ahead of the cold front. But the primary threat is going to be up here in the mid-Atlantic. A couple of things going on here. I'm going to throw on a couple upper level features here. These are the 300 millibar uh, heights. Basically, this is where the jet stream level is. And if you look, this is a big trough digging in across the Midwest and the Great Lakes. There's a short wave down here. These two are going to combine to deepen the trough, and you're going to get immense lift east of this trough base. What you end up is these lines start splitting out. We call that diffluence aloft. This will start lifting the air. As you look lower in the atmosphere, we look at 500 millibars. You can see the trough. There's your short wave down there over the Gulf Coast, and there's the big trough up over the Midwest. These are going to combine, or phase as we call it, to help produce a lot of lift, and we just don't see this much shear typically in the summertime. Now that we're getting into the autumn, this is more typical of our transitional seasons we see in the spring and in the fall. The one thing people forget about is we get the best wind shear, or the worst wind shear, depending on how you look at it, in the winter months. And those crossover seasons of spring and fall is when we have the best combination of shear and instability, which is the heating of the day. Speaking of that instability, let's take a look at Cape. You can see that this is the thunderstorm fuel you often hear us refer to, much higher in eastern North Carolina. A little plume here over the Piedmont. That's why we're not out of the woods yet in Charlotte, but the mountains not nearly as bad. This is mainly going to be a heavy rain event. Couple other parameters. I like to look at 1 kilometer storm relative helicity. One thing you notice, it's kind of bullseyed over the DC area. This is the lowest level shear. Anything above 250, you get supercells. You clearly have that. We look at the storm relative helicities, off the charts as well, over areas. You see how all this stuff's overlapping over parts of the mid-Atlantic into North Carolina. This is the significant this is the supercell parameter, excuse me. This is the significant tornado parameter. So watch as I toggle through these, how everything's lining up pretty much over the mid-Atlantic. This is the bulk shear. So there is a lot of shear. The DC area especially looks to be a very hotbed. The one thing that's saving the DC area right now is that there's a lot of cloud cover and rain. The one thing that worries me down here in North Carolina, we may not have as many parameters, but we've got a lot more heating going on. In fact, let's look at the temperatures, mid to upper 70s. We've got some low 80s out there. Dew points are in the 70s. So the atmosphere is ripe for severe thunderstorms today and possible tornadoes. There will likely be a tornado watch issued for central and eastern North Carolina later this morning that will go into the afternoon. And then back to the west, I don't want to discount the flash flooding threat because I'll turn the temperatures off and loop this. You can see why the flood threat is still going to be pretty high here for the rest of the afternoon as this little shortwave, which is down over Alabama right now, begins to spin and rotate up here and then move into the Carolinas. So an active day of weather. We're not done quite yet. The good news, this stuff will be moving out later this evening. But from now, which is about 10 a.m. until later this afternoon, 6, 7 p.m. The threat for heavy rain and severe weather, especially east, it's higher east. It's not 0 over us, but it is definitely higher the further east you go. I'll have updates online, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, WCNC.com, and of course we'll break in on air, News Channel 36, if conditions should warrant.